So let's talk about ground rules tonight. So we do this whenever we have like our relationship series, things like that, but we're going to do it every week, okay? We're going to change things up. Here's what we're going to commit to by being in here together as a group of people, as community, whatever, okay? 1, you're going to be open to what God has to say to you each and every single Tuesday that we're here. Agreed? Okay. When God speaks, we listen. But here's what happens. God, it's hard to hear him when, like, that cutie next to us is also speaking. Yeah, I'm talking about Will. Okay? So, 1, be open to what God is saying. But 2, to be able to do that, you're not going to be a distraction. Agreed? Okay. I know it's so easy to goof around, but here's what we want to do, okay? Tonight we're going to talk about something that's very, very important to us here at Elevate. It's very, very important to us here at North Coast. And that's community. That's groups, that's life group, that's small group, whatever you want to call it. That's the community of people that we come to hang out with every single week, okay? Some of you know that this weekend our church family of North Coast was struck by tragedy. And so we thought, this week, instead of starting a new series and diving into things, we wanted to take a second and as a community, as a group of people who genuinely love each other, who are here for the same reasons, who are here each and every week, we want to dive into really why that's important. Right? I think far too often, as we go through life, we take advantage of things, right? We've talked about this. Before COVID, we loved our alone time. Like, oftentimes we wanted to push people away so we could just be by ourselves or whatever, and then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and we couldn't be near people. But the problem is that we go back into life, for some of us, we're maybe taking advantage of this opportunity we have to be together because it's so easy to look past that we could lose it again. Right? Like, we lost people for about 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, depending on who you are, a year, right? There's a reason why we believe so much in community. And especially at a time like this where our church family is hurting, where our church family is going through things that some of us have a lot of questions, don't understand, we're angry, we're frustrated, we're sad. Maybe some of you go, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's okay. But tonight I wanted to take an opportunity to really dive into why we do what we do and the importance of community. You see, for every single person out here, we all have struggles. We all have things that we go through that we feel what? Alone. There are things that keep us up at night where we feel like if anybody else knew, oh man, nobody ever talked to me again. I'm on my own in this. You see, far too often, we feel like we have to challenge and push through on our own, right? Even for some of you, go, no, I love people, and I love when people come and help me. Yeah, but do those people that you love coming to help you, do they know everything? Do they know all the skeletons in your closet? Do they know all those monsters that you're hiding because if people knew, they would never talk to you again? Right? You see, in this world, the problem is that as Christians, for some of you, for a lot of you, you were baptized this summer, right? And you became a Christian for the first time. You became a believer. You said, I believe in Jesus. He's the center of my everything. I'm going to follow him each and every day, right? And for a lot of us, when that happens, when we make that choice, we feel like life's going to get easier. And for those of you who maybe been at church for a while or have called yourself a Christian or a believer for a while, is that true? Just because you call yourself a Christian, does that make life easier? No. I would argue that it makes life harder, right? At times, it can make life harder, right? Because we don't get to just go with the flow and do what our friends are doing and follow after them and just do those things, right? We have to make the wise choice to follow Jesus, right? But you see, the problem is when we become Christians, when we say, I'm going to follow Jesus each and every day, there's this idea in our head that, man, life is going to be perfect after that. Once I say yes to Jesus, and if I'm baptized, I go and come out, man, life is going to be smooth sailing. But you see, here's the problem with that idea. Is that, yes, that is a great idea. And I wish that that's exactly how it worked. But the problem is that we live in a broken world. We live in a world that is so broken, so twisted, so dark, that we get caught up in all of these different things, in these different feelings, and these different emotions. We get caught up in struggles where we feel stuck, we feel lost. We get caught up in things where we don't know what to do with it, but we have to handle it ourselves, right? We get caught up in something where we don't know what the answer is or how to get out of it or how to walk away from it. But I'll handle this on my own. I got this. And we get to a deep, dark place where internally we're throwing up our hands. Where maybe late at night in your room you say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how to keep going. I don't know how to tell people. We don't turn to the people who are sitting next to us, who we talk to every week in small groups, who we meet with every single week. And the idea is that we talk about life. The idea is that we go through life together. Because no matter who you are, what I want you to understand tonight, no matter how great life is going right now, no matter the choices that you've made, and I hope all of your lives are amazing, your entire life, I do. I pray that constantly, that you guys would have nothing but joy, nothing but peace, nothing but greatness. I do. I pray for you guys all the time. But the reality is, again, our world is broken. And you might have every intention of being perfect, of being flawless, of walking through life doing everything right. But that doesn't mean that the world isn't going to attack you. That doesn't mean that things aren't going to creep into your mind late at night when you're alone and you're wondering, what's going on? You see, way back when, if you've been with us on the weekends, we're reading through Genesis, we look back at the very beginning of things, right? And we look back at this, and it's so funny that as we read through the Bible, what do I show every single week? Let's see. It's about this much of the Bible till sin happens. So a whole lot more going on over here, but this is how far we make it as humans until sin happens, right? We make this joke that if you are reading a novel, a book, a story, whatever, I mean, you don't even know the main characters yet, right? Like, you don't even know what's going on, but this is how far we make it. And the reason I point that out every single weekend as we're diving into this book is because this is not just a story. This is reality. This is real. This is what has happened before us. But you see, Adam and Eve, they had every intention way back when of living an incredible life with God in the Garden of Eden, being together, being united, just walking around, having a great time, eating what they want and having dinner and playing games, whatever they were going to do, right? But the world had sin in it because Satan was there, because the enemy was ready to attack, right? When we feel like life is going good, like everything is great, there is somebody waiting to jump and say, no, it's not. There's somebody waiting to walk into your life and say, surprise, you're going to fail. You're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. You can't do that. And you see, way back when, in the beginning of Genesis, right, Adam and Eve are walking around. They have one rule, and it's what? Don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? That's one rule. Do anything else. Run around. Have a great life. Just don't do this, right? And Satan comes along in the beginning, right, where there's not somebody to blame for our failures, right? It's just them at this point, okay? And Satan says, oh, God doesn't want you to have that because he doesn't want you to know things. He doesn't want you to be smart. He doesn't want you to see everything. He's hiding something from you. He speaks to them so that way they fall, right? He's the tempter. It's temptation. And he says, wait, God said that if you eat this, surely you'll die? No, that won't happen. You see, he tricked them. And then they ate it. And what happened? Did they die? Not right then. But their eternity was shifted. Their life for eternity was gone. You see, what Satan wasn't telling them is that God didn't want them to take part in this because he didn't want them to feel and to suffer and to go through these things. Not just in idea, but in practice. He didn't want them to feel this pain. He didn't want them to feel this darkness and this shame. But in the midst of a great life, Satan came in and said, no, trust me, here's what we should do. Here's the right move. And the world was broken, and they fell into it. You see, for all of us, as we go through life, as we call ourselves Christians, you might be doing things that are great. You might be living an amazing life and doing things you're supposed to do and saying, hey, well, I'm loving people, I'm loving God, these are all great things. But the brokenness of this world with sin can creep in at any moment. Right? For many of you, you have struggles that you're still dealing with, that you're ashamed of. You have struggles that you feel like you have to hold on to. But it's things that are pushing you further and further down a dark road. Maybe some of you, you've asked for help. Right? Maybe for some of you, you've said, I don't know what to do. And you've reached out to people. But yet maybe you still keep falling into those things. And here's what I want you to understand tonight. Those thoughts, those feelings, what you're going through, what you've been through, what you will go through at some point in your life, all of those different things, that's not of God. You see, so often when we go through something that hurts or that's painful, we go to God. And we say, God, why did you do this to me? But what I want you to do is, if you got your Bible, open up to Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10, verse 10. And this verse, you maybe have heard it if you've been in church for a while, but this one is so important to this idea that we're talking about. That the world is broken, that it is full of sin, that there are things that will creep in, and that there is somebody who's ready to attack. There's somebody who's ready to jump and make you fall. Matthew chapter 10, verse 10. I'm sorry, John chapter 10, verse 10. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Fourth book of the New Testament. John chapter 10, verse 10. It says this, maybe, again, you've heard this before, but I want to make sure you guys understand this and the importance of this verse. If you're there, it says this. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Let's look back at situations in the Bible, right? Let's look back at your life. We're called as Christians to do two things. What are they? Love God and love others, right? That's what we're called to do. And you might look at me and go, well, I'm doing those two things. I'm loving God and loving others, and things still aren't going well. Things are still falling apart. Things are still falling short. In the midst of tragedy, in the midst of heartache, in the midst of sadness, in the midst of confusion that this world brings in so many situations and moments, here's what's important for us to understand. Again, it says, the thief comes only, okay? The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy your life, your faith, your goodness, your heart. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. That's what this world brings. That's the brokenness that sin brought into this world. That is the brokenness that this world continues to be, is we hurt. And we become broken people. But there is one who can mend that brokenness. There's one. It continues in verse 10. This is Jesus speaking. He says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I have come that they may have life and life to the full. You see, as the world brings brokenness, as the enemy, as the thief comes to break your world, to break your spirit, to break your heart, to make you feel alone, to make you feel ashamed, to make you feel like you are by yourself in this fight in whatever struggle you've been through, are going through, or will go through. Loneliness. Remember, if we go back to Genesis again, God created Adam, and then God said what? It is not good for man to be alone. You guys understand that? It is not good for man to be alone. But that is what the enemy does. He makes us feel isolated. He makes us feel like I'm the only one struggling. When we go through our relationship series, there's so many things we talk about. And we do our anonymous Q&A, we get these questions. So many of these questions are based around you guys feeling alone, that I'm the only one that deals with this or struggles with this. As I meet with some of you weekly, as I talk to you guys, as I talk to parents, as I talk to your parents, your grandparents, whatever, as we talk to anybody, the first thing that happens when we feel like we're falling apart or we feel broken is loneliness sets in. Loneliness. But you see, just like in Genesis, when God created Adam and said, it is not good for man to be alone, we were not meant to be alone. We were meant to be with each other. We were meant to be in community with one another to fight these battles together. You see, there's a reason why when Jesus came to this earth, who was fully God, but yet fully man, just like us, okay? He lived in the same world that we live in. Yes, it was a little bit different back then, but basically the same thing with temptations and struggles and all those things. And when Jesus came here, he picked 500 disciples to come follow him and be with him every single day and talk to him. No, he didn't. Jesus picked 12. A small group. And that's why we call it small groups. Right? Jesus picked 12. He didn't pick 500. He didn't pick 50. He didn't pick 20. I know some of your groups are a little bigger right now. But he picked 12 intentionally so that way they could be in community and do life together and have conversation and talk. As Jesus wept, they were there. They were feeling it with him. When Jesus rejoiced, they were with him. When Jesus taught, they were there. When they had dinner, they were together. And what I want you guys to understand tonight is that that is the reason why we do what we do every single Tuesday. Why I wanted you guys to sit with your small groups tonight and not be spread out around the room. In just a moment, Chase is going to come up. He's going to sing a song. He's going to lead us in some worship. But here's what we're going to do. And for some of you, this is going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. We're going to pray together. Because in a world that is broken, the one thing that will bring it together is praying, bringing God into it. But here's the thing. Anybody ever feel like it's kind of awkward to pray for yourself? Anybody ever feel selfish when you do that? I know for me, it took me a long time to get past, right? I'd pray and I'd be like, God, I need help. It's like, but there's all these people that need help. I need to pray for them, right? So for me, that was a struggle for a long, long, long time. And to be honest, it still can be a struggle for me. Because I go to pray for myself, I think, man, but they need prayer, but they're sick, they got this. Oh, it's not that bad. But you know what? I do have struggles. As I've said to you guys a million times, everything I talk about from right here, I've dealt with or I'm dealing with, right? I don't speak out of things that I've never walked through. Like, I want to bring realness to you guys. So I need help. I have struggles, right? There are often times where I feel like I'm not a good dad. There's often times where I feel like I've let you guys down. There's often times where I don't feel like I'm the best husband for my wife. There are many times where I feel like I'm falling short and failing. Yet when I go to pray, it's so easy for me to go, well, let me pray for other people because they need it more, and like I'll figure it out on my own. But that's the problem. Is then we have to deal with it on our own. So here's what we're going to do. Again, the reason why Jesus picked 12 disciples is to be in community with each other, to have personal connection and relationship with people. And that is what these groups are. That's what they're designed to be. That's what they're meant to be. So for some of you, right now, you're going through a lot. For some of you just found out news that has rocked your world, that has shaken you to the core, and you don't know what to do. Maybe you have questions. Why would God do this? Maybe you're angry. We want to take this time to pray with one another, to be there, to support one another. Because when you have deep, dark struggles, when you go through things and you just try to push it deep, deep, deep down, at some point it's coming right back up. At some point it's coming back to the surface, and then you're going to explode. You're going to have a situation that you can't take back. You're going to have a moment where you go, I can't believe that happened. Or you may have a moment that you regret because you tried to handle it by yourself. Now, again, some of you go, well, I've reached out to people. I've tried to handle this. I've asked for help. And that's amazing. The first step when you are struggling is to reach out to people. But again, for some of us, we go, well, I don't want to just call a stranger. Well, tonight, let's not be strangers. Tonight, in these small groups that maybe for some of us, we've just kind of looked past, oh, it's just a fun group to sit with for, 30 minutes, 45 minutes every Tuesday, and that's it. Tonight I want to challenge you to dive into these groups so that when tragedy, so that when difficulty, so that when dark clouds and storms roll in over your life and you feel stuck and isolated and alone and there's no turning back, you know that you have people to go to. Now here's what I'm going to say. You might be going through something. You might have feelings. You might have frustration, anger, whatever that is. You might have just a lot of things happening in your mind, in your heart, whatever. And you might go, well, why? Or what about this? Your small group, your leaders, myself, we might not have an answer. You know what's crazy? Is that's okay. Right? There are a lot of things in this world that we may never have answers to. The Holy Spirit will reveal things to us when we need to know, right? But there are a lot of moments in my life where I go, I don't understand why that's happened. I don't get, God, why you would allow this to take place. But where faith comes in is knowing and believing that God is good, that God does care for you, God does love you. But your small group does too. So right now, as Chase begins to sing, I want you to get into a circle, get close together. If your group needs to break up into two, that's fine. But take this time to open up. Talk. Pray. Don't be a distraction. Let's circle up together. Let's dive in.
With no reservation, you're not looking for perfection. There's no need in me pretending, so I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. You deserve my full attention. Nothing less than my devotion. Lord, speak to me and I will listen. There's no need in me pretending, so I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. You deserve my full attention. Nothing less than my devotion. Lord, speak to me and I will listen. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. Oh, oh, you can have my heart. You can have my heart. Oh, oh, you can have my heart. You can have my heart. And be the Lord of my emotion. Set me free from selfish motives. Search me till there's nothing hidden. I'll give you everything, Lord. I'll give you everything. Oh, oh, you can have my heart. You can have my heart. Oh, oh, you can have my heart. You can have my heart. My heart is yours forever. My heart is yours forever, Lord. My heart is yours forever. God, my heart is yours.
as some of the groups are finishing up praying, keep doing that. Finish up. But you see, this is why we do what we do for these moments. You see, imagine a world where we showed up on Tuesday night and we walked around, or we went around the circle and we said, how was life? And we all said, fine. And then we just left. My question for you in that moment is, what's the point? Is there a relationship there? Probably not. This is what we want. And when I say we, I mean us. For some of you, go, yeah, that's really uncomfortable. Okay? But is it uncomfortable because it was real? And maybe that's intimidating? Right? This is what small groups should be. It's coming together in prayer, seeking God together for those moments where we don't understand. We're hurting. We're frustrated. We don't feel like we have an outlet, but guess what? You do. It's right here. This is your earthly outlet. Now, this doesn't excuse us reaching out to God and praying to Him and to having that quiet time and alone time with our God. But this is where people are with us and love us and are encouraging us. You see, we could all go around and list 100 things that have happened in our life that have hurt that we don't understand, that have hurt that we don't know what to do with it, that have hurt and we go, this is changing my life, but I don't want it to. You see, for me, when I was about 6 years old, my dad walked out on us. I was about 6. My dad had some mental health issues, alcoholism, drug addiction, all these things. But what happened was he couldn't overcome it. So the option for him was to leave. And to this day, as a 28-year-old who has 4 kids of my own, has been married for 9 years, I still don't understand why that had to happen. I probably never will. See, that moment that somebody else made a choice that affected me in that way, I've had to live with it. I've had to just say, okay. There's a long time in my life where anger was all I had. It's angry that happened. God, I've been at church my entire life. I've loved you my entire life. How could you let this happen to me when I've done nothing but what I feel like you've called me to do? For some of you, you've been in this moment, right? And I want you to understand that that is okay to hurt and to process. But you see, the difference between what I want for you and what I had is I did that alone for a long time. I fought the enemy who reached into my heart and said, it's because of you. It's your fault. Like, look what you did for him to leave. The last thing I want for any of you is to ever have that moment where you sit there and you wonder, what did I do? How did I cause this? When the answer might be as simple as the world is just broken. That the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy your joy, your happiness, your life, your world. And at times, you've done nothing. And you don't understand it. You have people right here that as we go to small groups tonight, I don't want you to walk away without really gripping and grasping that and leaning into each other and loving one another. So when you have moments of confusion, of frustration, of anger, of tragedy, you have people there for you. And you don't have to wait for it, right? You don't have to wait and go, well, maybe in 6 months somebody will show up. Look around you. They're already here. We're going to go into a time of worship right now. We're going to do 2 songs. Take this opportunity to worship our God, to praise him, to pray to him, right? Now, for many of you this year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it's been for you, maybe just this day, you're going through something that you need help. And maybe you feel like you need to talk to somebody, not just your small group, but you need some help. You need someone to just process with and talk to. Well, tonight, if you are going through something that you need help, we have a counselor on site tonight. Her name's Paula. She's amazing. She came here tonight to give her time to be here for you as another resource. See, for some of you, you're struggling with something so heavy and so deep that you're going to share with your small group, but then you need somebody else to talk to. You've been holding it in. She's here for you. And whether that's right after these 2 songs, you want to go talk to her right now, or that's after small group, you need to talk to a professional to talk about what's going on. Whether that's something mental, you just need help, that's physical, whatever that is, she is here to talk tonight. We want to give you these resources and tools. You have your small group, you have your leaders, and tonight we have somebody who is here to just love you and talk with you. Right now, as we go into this time of worship, let us praise our God together.